So this tutorial is a request by the scatologically named Poopstick over in the Polycount forums. So he just posted up, this is his asset here. He was having a bit of trouble unwrapping it. Just wanted to get a few hints and tips. So as I say, this is his asset here, and the first thing that I would do and did do is just to rearrange the topology and get rid of some of these elements that we don't need, because they're repeating elements and they're identical, so therefore the unwrap will be identical and there's no need to do them all. So I can just get rid of what we don't need, leave one of each, and just unwrap that, and then you can spread them UV space then, so, or you could keep them stacked and allow them to share the same texture, either. And the next thing I did then was I just split it in half, so you just have to UV half, then you can mirror it or use Symmetry Mod, and then spread them apart again if you wanted to, and stitch them back together or not. So after doing that, I'll just unhide the other one, and this is what I was left with. So I rearranged some of the topology, namely just rearranged a bit here so that I could split it in half, and also on the bottom here I just brought these edges in so they're out of sight, and then just got rid of this bit in the middle, deleted this face here because we can utilize that space later on if we wanted it in the UV. So I kind of just planned ahead, so this is going to be empty space in here and wasted space in the UV. So what we could do is put some smaller parts in here to save ourselves some space. So first we'll just grab this one here and isolate it, and because there was UVs on the asset already, I'm just going to put a UV map in clear and then an unwrap. And the first thing you'll notice is I'm using Poly Unwrapper. So to me this is an indispensable plug-in that just tacks onto your UV editor here. Some great tools and functionality. I use it all the time, and if you're doing a lot of unwrapping, I'd definitely recommend it. It's pretty cheap, it's only 30 quid or something. So with that plug for whoever the bloke that makes it is, soldier on. So I'll be using these tools here, but they're all pretty much mirrored up here. They're just quick to hand down here. There's a few extra ones obviously, but I'll just be using mostly basic stuff that's all available here and in the menus. So we'll just throw that out of the way, and the first thing we'll do is take a look at this, you know, the kind of mindset you might get in before you start unwrapping. So something like this, obviously it's a desk, it's going to be more than likely stained or varnished timber, and I'd look at it in a way that it might be built in the real world to an extent. So for instance, the moulding around the bottom here, you know, these are all miter joints, so carpenter built this would have, you know, obviously cut the miters here, and these are all separate pieces of timber, so we can take advantage of that and put our seams here. So you know, you're always trying to when you are in the workflow of trying to hide seams, if you're not painting over in 3D painting or whatever, or sometimes the seams in the in Substance Painter for whatever reason show up, and because there's no clone stamp, it can be a bit awkward to paint over. So hopefully we'll see the clone stamp soon in Substance Painter. But anyway, back to what I was saying. So yeah, break the seams up always where they would logically be placed in the real world, and also with the advantage of, you know, if they're out of sight, you're not really going to see it. And in this case, the timber grain isn't going to match up in the real world anyway, so when the texture doesn't match up at these seams, it's actually, funnily enough, going to look more realistic, rather than if just one grain was continuing all the way around these. That would look ridiculous, because that would never happen unless the carpenter was OCD and matched all the grains, but nobody does that. So onwards again. So the first thing I'll do is I'm just going to grab all this base moulding, just to get it out of the way. So just by default this is always on, so you can just turn this off, ignore back facing, and I'm going to grab this I'll actually grab, let me see, all these faces on the bottom. So you see here these ones, and these ones. I'll grab them. So I'll just shrink it down to them. They are the ones on the bottom. I'll just add these in, and just do a quick planar map and get them out of the way. And that's also, you know, you can find it up here. Flatten mapping, or else planar maps over here in the command panel. But as I say, a lot of these are quick to hand, easy to use. So drag them out of the way. Not have to worry about them. And then I'm going to select these ones here, and make sure none of the ones on the bottom are selected, which they're not. We can see up here. Excuse me. And I'm just going to do that again, and the planar mapping, and just drag them out of the way, and I'll sort them out. I'll sort them out later on. Yeah, you'll see what I'll do with them later on. The next thing to sort out would be the main part of it here. So you'll notice as well that a lot of the time, rather than using seams here, a lot of the time I'll just grab faces and use this quick planar map just to break them away, and then you can do whatever you want with them after that. Sometimes I'll use this, depends what I'm doing. I really hope in the future that the Unwrap mod uses the same selection methods as the editable poly, because it's not nearly as robust. So between the two, you know, you can also use these UV grow and shrink tools and everything here, which can be handy. So a combination of them, using the seams, selecting faces and breaking them away, or unwrapping them and then sorting them out, or else just selecting in here. So with that said, I'll just grab the main part here and make sure we have it all selected, and then I'll just get rid of these. I'll just get rid of them, and I'll just hit a quick peel there, just to peel it off. And also what I like in this is that you have these different UV maps for previewing, which is very handy, so you don't have to put a checker texture on. You can just quickly cycle through them. So I'll leave it on this one. So that's that done, and next I'm gonna just select these ones, and I'll just grow that selection around to grow it to there. Just thinking about this is the one part of it where you'll see in a few minutes the seam. We could grow it around to there, and the seam will be hidden, but you'll get a bit of distortion here in the edges, as you saw yourself, Boopstick, there, and from the images you posted up on Polycount. So I'll just break that away and relax it, and then we'll just select this bottom part. This one, and that is it. And just quick planar map that, and lastly these ones here. Now we can just use a flatten mapping, and then one of the handiest tools here is the stitch. And what it'll do is it'll whatever edge you select, corresponding edge here obviously be highlighted, and it'll stitch without moving the target around, and it'll rotate this into place and everything. So I'll just show you. Poly Unwrapper has a it's called multi-stitch, so you can select multiple edges, and it'll, sorry, I've selected, I meant to select this and this. The updated version, we haven't updated it yet, has multi-shell stitch, multi-stitch. So I'll select two edges and I can stitch, but you can just use this one here, stitch custom. Right, so that is that done now as well. And now I can just sort out you know, these bottom ones here. So I'll just pack them together. Just pack together. I'm just going to rotate them around. Just to straighten them up. And then we can worry about packing them all later on. And you can spend more time straightening these up. It's not really going to matter for this unless the desk is... No, you're never even going to see them. You could probably actually just delete those off the model, those faces, because they'll never be seen. Won't worry about them anymore for the moment. The last piece now is this base molding. So quick way to do that. That's why I just broke it all away, and now we can sort it out now. So if I select that, let's see, this one here, it's the first one. So we can select, just turn off element mode, and we can select those ones, and you can see that's what we want. And then you can just planar map that. So remember, I'm just going to actually move this out of there so they'll all be in the same spot. What's going on? Sorry, this element here, these ones. So that should have been selected as an element. So I'll just get that out of the way so these will all be mapped to here. And then we can move on with the next one here. Turn off element mode. And just make sure we have the right ones. And quick planar map. And that is going to be to, let's see, to there. And same again, quick planar map. And we just have these three. Same again. And here to here is these ones. And 3 again, 2, 3. Break them off. And 1, 2, where's that gonna be? 2. So that'll be these ones. Break them off. Break them off, and you can see here I'm breaking them here at the real world as they would be miters. So that's those ones, and break them, and they should all. That's why I pulled everything out of the way now, so I can just select all these and pack together. Let me see how they're looking. So we have some distortion there, so I'm just going to planar map them again. Sorry, I mean to do them all together. So I'll just see which that one is, and that was, I ran the relax on that. That's what happened to that one. So I can just probably shouldn't have ran that relax. I'll just go back to before I did that. It's worth testing out though, you know. So they're all pretty good. Yeah, no distortion. So I'll select all these and back together and move them out of the way. And that is all the pieces. So then grab them all and rescale to so that they have consistent textile density, and then just pack them. This is only temporary packing, so obviously you're going to want to straighten these out. And also bear in mind that when you're textured this, the wood grain more than likely is going to run vertically here. And it's going to run across this way and this, and it's going to run horizontally in these, so you want to pack them appropriately to whatever way your texture is facing. Well, it's not going to matter really if you're painting in 3D paint, in Substance Paint or something like that. It won't matter too much. It'd be more like for old school kind of texture layout in Photoshop or something. well, not old school, it's still widely used, but yeah, so let's say we're happy with what we have here. Equal textile density and minimal distortion, and let me see, and not too many seams, unless they're in places like this and this where it makes sense to have them. Right, so I'm just going to collapse that, and symmetry modifier, flip that, and unwrap it again, and then I'll just select half, make sure it's all selected, and move it out of the way. So as I said, you could leave them stacked if you didn't mind the texture carrying across, but I'm not going to do it because I just want to show stitching these up again. So let's say, for instance, these ones, we want to stitch them. So just grab this edge, double click on the edge, and sorry, first things first, what I forgot to do, which is very important after using symmetry modifier or mirroring it. You just want to flip these back, because if I go to select inverted polys, inverted faces, you'll see that these are all flipped because of the symmetry modifier. So you want to just mirror or flip them back, and just deselect those ones. I'll sort them out in a minute. I never relaxed that where those edges are. There's edge to start, tension in the edges. I'll show that in a second. So we will just grab these and flip them, and now inverted polys. So let me see, I'm going to grab this, and that's the top of the table, so obviously we can't have a seam there. I'll just grab this, double click the edges and stitch them together, and grab the whole lot of them excuse me, and relax. This is just quick access, obviously, to relax by face and edge angles, which you already know is in here. So if I turn the texture back on again, you can see that we have some distortion here, and if I display edge distortion in a sec, I'm just going to repeel that, quick peel, and then relax it. So that edge distortion there, it's showing up in it shows up in red. You can see as I move it around. Then when it's green, it's good. There's no edge distortion, but it's not going to work because it's too much tension. So what you need to do with areas like this is to just cut them, because there's no other way. It's too much to expect of the relax or the unwrap to be able to pull this out completely straight without some distortion. So sometimes you can get away with it. It might be noticeable. It's a tiny area here, you might there'll be seams here, but you have to, it's a trade-off really. You have to decide whether the bit of distortion you get is worth not having the seams, or vice versa. So in this case here, I would just you just select these edges, and I think you actually, yeah, you did do this in your original unwrap. So just select these, you can see obviously the distortion there more clearly. And I really would have done this before. I forgot to do it, but before the symmetry. So what I'll do there is I can just matter, but you know where I'm coming from. I'll just do it on one half of it. So I'll just select these. Just make sure to do it before your symmetry. Save you doing it twice, and then just convert that to an edge selection. And then just select this element and repeal it, and I'll relax it. And you can see now it's split away, but this shouldn't be. Sorry, it shouldn't be showing up because it is relaxed there now. I think it's just that's the wrong one. I think it's just bugging it, because these aren't these are actually, this should be all well, not red up here, but it should be more green down here where we've made these cuts. So I'll leave that one for the moment. And then yeah, it's some sort of bug because it's just showing it all over the place. So I'll turn that off. And what else? The table here, element mode, and you can just stitch this back together, the table, underside of the tabletop, and just grab everything, rescale all the elements to maintain your textile density, and then just pack them. And as I was saying earlier on, this face that I deleted in here, we now can utilize that space. So you know, you could grab all these, back to element mode, you grab all these and stick them in here, and rearrange everything. And I'm not going to if I stitch this back together, it's going to be too long. It's going to take up the whole length of UV space, so you won't have much room for maneuvering, because now the shells are all have consistent textile density. We can't, you know, you can't scale up one over the other, because the wood grain would be different size. There is ways around it. If you're working in, say, Substance Painter, you could mask by UVs and change the tiling, just the texture resolution, to maintain the same texture resolution, textile density, but you might notice the tiling. So that's another thing to have a trade off with and bear in mind when you are unwrapping like this. So that's pretty much it for the table. Obviously this, you want to pack this properly, so I'm not going to go into all that. It's just a sort of a process of packing them in as tightly as possible, but also making sure that you have enough padding around the edges. It's not going to matter as much. As you said, this is a pure geo asset with no normal map baking, so just leave enough padding for mip mapping. So you'd want to be leaving, you know, between whatever, it depends on many levels of mip mapping, you'd want to be leaving maybe between 8 and 16 pixels between each shell and at the edge as well, so there's no bleed over between you know, the tiles. Right, so yeah, I'm just going to collapse that down, and you can, I won't go into all that packing, because it's just as I say, a matter of puzzling it out and packing it as tightly as you can, utilising the likes of this empty space. So I'll collapse that, and now you just have these other pieces. So we're just going to be basically doing the exact same sort of methods. You notice I got rid of these as well, because you can mirror these across. I know it's only a couple of clicks to UV them at the same time, but you can always just UV that, unwrap it, and then just grab them and shift drag them across. And then when you apply the unwrap, don't be afraid of you know, unwrap when you have your unwrap applied and collapsed, it bakes it down, so you can always add it, collapse it, add it, collapse it, add it, collapse it. It doesn't matter. And just attach new objects or whatever, and then rearrange UV space. So don't be too precious to start packing everything, because you might have to repack, because this is all going to be one asset, so these are going to eventually be attached to this, so you'll have to repack anyway at the end. So that is pretty much it. Just use all those basic tools, and particularly stitch that I showed is very handy. Rescale elements, always making sure to keep that textile density, and then just, you know, sort out yourself, as I say, between seams and distortion. Here's the area where we didn't make those cuts versus where we did, so that's the trade-off to be made, and I think I will leave it at that. So obviously then what you do is, as I say, unwrap all these. So you know, you could grab that piece, unwrap it, you know, just cut these corners, and then whatever, peel it, and then once you've that done, you can just copy it around the object, and then leave it and attach it to the object, and then attach all of them to the object, and then leave them stacked, which they'll automatically be, or else spread them out for unique texture space. And one other thing I forgot to mention is just edge straightening. It doesn't really matter on this asset, because you're not baking a normal map, so you don't have to worry about that too much. The main thing is just consistent textile density and minimal distortions, and seams, you know, where they're not going to be glaringly obvious and where they make sense. Right, so I'll leave it at that, and I hope this was useful to you. And sorry if I rambled a bit, but that is usually my way when I'm making tutorials. Alright then, cheers, thanks, good luck.